All right, today's conversation starting cocktail is the simple and sneaky summer beer. It is one of my favorite drinks, and the reason I chose the summer beer as our cocktail today is that it reminds me of Rockabilly Deli in Manhattan, Kansas, in an area called Aggieville, a small bar that has dominated the branding and personal marketing game for 35 years. I've seen bars and restaurants and all sorts of businesses come into that area and not thrive as well as Rockabilly Deli. And so I thought it was the perfect cocktail to start our conversation about branding and personal marketing and how it relates to real estate. So what are your guys' opinions on how branding can help the real estate professional today?
All right. I think, branding, is part of your identity. So when you create your logo, you're going to want to create it, pick out your color, and you're going to want to stay with it. Because consistency is number one for me when it comes to your branding.
Yeah. I mean, to me, brand is what others say about you when you're not in the room, and branding is what you say about yourself. The challenge, I think, for most agents is to get those two things to align up, which is sometimes harder than it sounds.
Definitely is.
I feel like we're going down the road.
Your turn.
As you guys probably know, I feel like my identity for years and years was the title girl. And so when I switched gears into lending, I had to basically reinvent myself. And so creating a brand that people would remember. Everyone knew me as, even my old boss knew me as Sproul, just as my last name. That was kind of, everyone called me Sproul. So kind of recreating myself was really important. So when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to be, I was like, Lindsay, your lender. Okay, and I put it on everything and kind of created my brand for that. And I actually had our marketing department help me with creating a logo and everything so that I can really make that be, so people know what I am, they know what I do, they know my name, and can kind of put it all together with that. So.
Well, I love that because you were able to actually change your brand.
Yeah.
So you're saying that you had a brand that had already been established, and because you took a career change, you had to actually change your brand and make sure people heard that story. And I think that's another important thing is branding is really your story, right? It's the story that's out there before most people ever meet you, right? And so that's why it was important for you to change from title to lender. It's interesting.
And you have to be flexible with it too, because even though it is your identity, things change. Like when I was a realtor and I worked under a brokerage, I had one identity and I created a team and I created my company, Crystal Clear Realty. And kind of our tagline is buying or selling, the choice is crystal clear. And so by using a good catchy tagline that ties in with your name, and then our colors are pink. So pink and black are our colors, and it really allowed us to create a space. I am a female broker, I think, and a minority broker. I'm the only in my city. And so creating that language in there and having that feminine touch to it a little bit was really something that I was excited about creating, because it just made it a little bit more appealing to me as who I am as a person. So.
Yeah, it's a good way to get your personality out too.
Yeah.
I think you can tie in your brand with who you are and kind of let people know, this is who I am, this is what I'm about. And I think that's an important part of creating that brand and following through with it.
It is, and I think consistency is what rings to me. It's just staying consistent throughout everything you do. The colors, I know we're pretty particular about, this is the color scheme, it can't be anything different. These are the formats we want online to look the same as in print, and even the video components, it just all needs to, when they see it, they know what it is without you having to reiterate it and focus on it. So the hard thing is finding the connection between what you're passionate about and how does that transition into the brand that you're putting out there. So I know when we went to your class recently, there was a lot of discussion about that. I thought that was...
Yeah, so I use a really simple exercise, especially with newer agents or agents that haven't been able to find their identity and really set themselves apart. And that is to say to themselves, okay, I'm not just a realtor. I'm a realtor and a what? And filling in the blank completely changes how they brand themselves, how they attract their tribe, how they create content, which is really a challenge for most people. that's not easy to fill in that blank. What is your and, but what are you passionate about? What is it that occupies your time and your space besides real estate? When you figure that out, it's kind of magical almost.
I think we know. It's right here.
That's right.
One of my main things when I created my company was I wanted to really teach other people how to be entrepreneurs. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I own 5 companies. And part of the things that I get my purpose out of is helping to inspire, motivate, and empower other people. So when my agents come in, the first thing I say is like, who are you naturally? Like, don't try to be me. Don't try to be this realtor. Be yourself. And I said, you have the, yes, we use the logos. Everyone's kind of consistent. But I'm just the umbrella that protects you. Your goal is to get out there because visibility equals viability. And you have to be out there and you have to be present, whether it's TikTok, social media, Instagram. Most of my agents are really young. They're not on Facebook. But, things like that just really allow you to build your market and your brand with people who know you, like you, trust you. So.
Do you know what? For some reason, this conversation is reminding me of so many, over the last 20 years, how many realtor cards I've collected. Mm-hmm. And you remember the ones that were somebody's with a lion, or a tiger in their cards, or this person that's always with their dogs in their cards. Yeah. And it's kind of like they've created that as part of their brand, and that's how people remember them, because they always have the same types of things, or whether they're always in a cowboy hat or something like that. It's kind of adding to their personality and to their brand, I think, which I just think it's funny that those are, I do remember those cards and those agents that have created that personality within their brand.
Well, and it's interesting because when it comes to branding, you differentiate yourself, right? So you have to figure out a way to set yourself aside from the rest of the group. But then you have to then utilize that. You have to amplify that somehow. And so that's where kind of the marketing comes in, right? So what are ways that you have seen different ways of marketing yourself that you haven't seen in the marketplace? Whether you're a title person or whether you're a lender or whether you're an agent, how do you then market your brand?
Okay. Well, with our Continental Palm Agent One app, that has my face in it. So when the app comes up, they're going to see me first, and I make sure that they go in there and they set up their prime profile. And one thing I've seen a lot across the board is people with not current headshots.
Yes.
Yes, just something that 20 years ago, and then I meet them and I look at my card,
that glamour shot.
and I don't remember this person on the card.
Yeah.
I remember the person I met, and so therefore I've lost their branding already.
Yeah.
So just making sure to keep myself current photos, and market myself through, of course, flyers and videos, and like Kevin said, making sure that they learn me a little bit on the personal side too, like a hobby, giving them something they can relate to. People like hobbies, and if they get into it too, that's more of a personal connection you'll have with that client.
Well, and that was one thing when I first got into business. I really tried to separate my personal life identity from my professional identity. And I really wanted to say, okay, well, this is just who I am professionally. And then when I realized that they have to work symbiotically or it would not work at all, that's when my business really grew, because you're trying to be this person. And I'm not. I mean, I'm just a fun, laid back, like to have a good time kind of person. And when you can be that and show your children and show your adventures in my travel, people love to check in with that. And so that was one of the things when I first got in the business. After that first year or two of me kind of being stuffy, and I let the guard down, I was amazed. I'd go to the grocery oh, you're Crystal, I follow you on Facebook, or I follow you on social media, and you're always doing these great things. Would you want to help me buy or sell a house?
You can still be professional and be yourself.
Be a person.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know, I struggle a little bit with that. I guess, I don't know, I'm just maybe a little too reserved or private, where it's this is me at work, this is me at home, and
but you know that about yourself, and you can use that.
And this is a little blend. I mean, when you say this is blending some fun with some marketing, right?
And sharing your hobbies and all the things you do. I guess I struggle with that a little bit, where putting it out there.
Yeah.
So I can see why it's a challenge.
And sometimes I think when it comes to marketing, I think that sometimes we forget about the very basics. Like on all my Zoom calls, what do you see? It's not just my name, it's Lindsay, your lender. How many times have we been on Zoom over the last 2 years? So people see Lindsay, your lender. They might not know my last name, but they know that I'm a lender. But in doing like things like Nextdoor, getting involved in your community around you, it makes you sure that your neighbors and the people that are around you can use you, like remember what you do and what you're there for, so that they can kind of be that, you can be that person that's always at top of mind for them, is just continually being active on those kinds of platforms. So you can be the local expert.
So what other types of marketing, so social media obviously is huge. And I think there are some people that excel at social media, and there's some people that probably shouldn't be utilizing social media until they've had a little bit of training. And so, I think there's a balance. Sometimes you can be way over the top and annoying, and sometimes crickets. So where's the blend? What do you guys see?
For myself personally, I make my marketing calendar and I put what platforms I'm going to post on, how many times I'm going to do it a week, and then I also try to mix it up with just picture posts and video posts. So that's.
I need to come to that class. I just feel whatever energy I'm feeling that day, I'm posting.
I was gonna say, you might have
real
like
strategic.
personal pages, business pages. How do you do the balance of posting on both of those types of things as far as social media platforms?
I think a good rule of thumb is, and I see too many real estate agents fall into this trap, they go all business all the time. So their business page is all business, and then their personal stuff is all business. The 80-20 rule we've heard over and over and over again on just about everything in life, but it works for this too. 80% of your posts on both business and personal should probably be more personal in nature, with the exception of maybe Jeff. 20% should maybe be business. So think like you're baking a cake. Right? Yeah. You want to be sweet, you want to attract people, so lots of sugar, that's your personal post, but you got to have a little bit of salt. So the salt's where you're going to sprinkle in your business stuff every now and then, just to remind people what you do.
And you put salt in your cake?
Well, that's a great example, both of you actually, a plan and a recipe, right? So those two things you need to have in your marketing as you promote yourself. So that's a great segue as we close out our video section and move on to our podcast section, where everyone can then join us for the rest of the conversation about personal marketing and branding. So cheers to the first section, everyone.
Cheers! Clink, clink, clink.